I'm going to get started. So I hope you guys have your pen and your paper with you because you're going to need it. You're going to need that. Not only just to take notes, but to play a little game. Not a game, but do a little exercise, you know? Let's get your pen and paper. Perfect. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Saida. Vanessa, Tracy, okay. Good. We're going to get started. I know there's more people, but they're just going to have to join us as they come. So let's start without them. Okay, so if you guys, when I ask you to put your hands up, and if you're actually putting your hands up, just put a Y. Just give me a Y so I know you guys, are on the same page. Okay, so we're going to start it. All right. Well, welcome to Master Your Mind and Emotions. This is stage 1. Reset your mindset, become a greater you. I want to thank you guys for making the time to be here. Hello, Tracy. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Actually, before I start asking you questions, I want to first thank the Adelaide Club from the Cambridge group of clubs for putting all this together for us and hosting this webinar. So thank you, Adelaide, and thank you to all you wonderful members and friends and team members that are here today. Now I'm going to ask my question. My question to you is that how many of you, by show of hands, how many of you believe in the notion that your thoughts have some effect on your future experiences? If it's a thank you. Oh, gosh, everybody's got their hands up. Tracy, Ian, perfect. Well, you're in the right place. How many of you believe that you can actually train your brain to become more positive and more productive? Hands up. Love it. Well, I've got the right group with me, that's for sure. Thank you. Well, today you're going to discover how you can train your brain to think beyond the negative circumstances so you can eliminate unnecessary stress and just focus on what really matters. You're also going to discover how you can replace those stressful thoughts and improve your mood quicker. And with that, you create more positive experiences at work or your wellness or your relationships. And when I talk about relationships, I'm not just talking about the relationships you have with other people. I'm talking about the most important relationship of all. And that's the relationship with yourself, right? Because when you improve yourself in any way, you change the quality of all your other relationships, whether it's with relationship with your health, your finances, your work, with other people. So today it's all about you. This is for you, the most important person. Before I continue, may I tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm here? Get a little bit of a yes, if that's okay with you. I'm gonna hands up. I'm gonna say that as a yes. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Alina. I was born and raised in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and my family and I moved here when I was 13 years old. And I've been living here now for over 30 years. And for the past 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur. During this time, I had many successes and many failures. And by success, I mean, I helped a lot of individuals and organizations. I got a lot of media attention. I was nominated as one of Canada's top 40 under 40 at the age of 28. At the time, I was recognized for my work in marketing, communications, events. And I got together with a group of people and we started a nonprofit organization called Imagine One Day. We raised $10 million and started this organization. It's been almost 15 years and this organization now has built over 50 schools and trained 12,000 teachers and leaders to sustain the schools and communities in Ethiopia, Africa. So it's pretty exciting to see where this will all go in the next many more years to come, because the goal for this organization is that by 2030, every child in Ethiopia, Africa will have access to primary education free of foreign aid. And when I talk about my failures, what I mean by that is that I made a lot of heartbreaking mistakes. And these mistakes caused a lot of pain in my health, in my career, my relationships, my finances. And then I later realized that they can no longer be mistakes if you learn from them. And learn I did. And these failures, they were sort of a gift. They were a gift because little by little, they led me down a completely different path and led me to my most rewarding work in wellness. So I guess you could say my mess led to my mission. In other words, my breakdown led to my breakthrough. And now I have the pleasure of teaching others how to achieve the healthiest state of being. I'm a student and a teacher simultaneously because I'm always teaching what I know as I continue to learn my next level. So it's been rewarding for me to see people transform their body, shift their mindset, and just love themselves. You know, that's something my clients would joke around a lot and say, you know, they'll say things like, Penny, you're so lucky. But the truth is, I haven't always been a lucky penny. You know, most people wouldn't know the extent of my past and the physical abuse that I endured throughout my childhood and my adolescent years. And even though those wounds have healed, they're not forgotten. You know, I remember all that pain and trauma led me to depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. And it took me so long to heal. On my own, I wanted to do it holistically and I was too embarrassed to share it. So I did it on my own. And since I've been able to do that for myself, I've been helping others do the same. And I talk about this more in details on my other seminars, like how to shift perspective to achieve wellness. I remember a time when I was 9 years old and I was playing by myself after school, right outside the gates of the school. This was in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I was playing next to a ditch and it was a filthy, smelly, wet ditch. And I still remember I was playing and I accidentally slipped and I fell into this ditch. Now I was wet, smelly, and filthy. And the next thing I recall, I was brutally punished and severely beaten for being stupid, useless. I remember being dragged by my hair from the front of the house all the way to the back of the house. And I was so scared, all I could do was scream in pain and fear. And when we got to the back of the house, some form of chemical was poured on me. And then I was threatened with a match that I would be burned because I'm not loved, not wanted. I was so scared. I screamed so loud that day that I lost my voice. I was still screaming, but there was no voice coming out. That was one of the scariest days of my life. But then I lived in varying degrees of fear each day growing up. Some days were less intense, but other days were almost as intense. And I remember growing up, they would tell me stories about how I would turn out. They would tell me how my life would be. You know, you're just stupid and slow. You don't have very good grades, so you're just going to amount to not much. You know, they say things like, well, I'm stupid or slow because I had bad grades and I don't read well or I don't retain information well. And they called me names like Flamingo because I had skinny stick legs and this round little body. I was a weird shaped kid, so they called me Flamingo. I remember all of that insecurity and all that type of stories that I was told led to a lot of insecurities, and I didn't feel loved. And moving to Canada with this sort of victim mentality, this low frequency of insecurity, didn't help matters either. Moving to Canada with that energy, I was attracting more of the same. I was attracting bullies. And in school, they would bug me and throw things at me, call me a name and try to get my attention. But I would ignore them only because I didn't want to get in trouble. And also because I thought it would be easier to be kind. So for a while I was being submissive, to be kind and not to get in trouble. But eventually, one day, one of the bullies decided she's going to try and get some reaction out of me. So came up to me and decided to just punch me right in the left eye. She punched me so hard and I was stunned. I didn't expect it, of course. And It hurt so bad. I just stood there with my eye throbbing and bleeding, and I could feel it just getting bigger. And then something just switched. Something just switched, and I started fighting back. I started kicking and punching and pulling and pushing, and then her friends jumped in. Now I was fighting all three of them, but I just fought my little heart out. I kept fighting until all three scattered like mice, just took off in different directions. I was left standing there with this throbbing, bruised, bleeding eye. I was scared. I was angry. I was upset. I was frustrated. Every emotion surged through me, and I was shaking. And I knew that at that point, I didn't want anyone to hit me again. And I knew at that point I was done with that old story that everybody was giving me and telling me who I was going to be and all the names I was called. I was done. I wanted a new story. I wanted a story that I wrote for myself, not one that was given to me, but I didn't even know where to begin. All I knew is that I have this will to be strong. I don't even know where to begin other than that. And I'm kind. I'm a kind person. So what am I going to do in life just being kind and having a will to be strong? Well, that's all I had to work with, so I went with it. So over the many years, that led me to my new story. And my new story is that I got strong and healthy, not just physically. I'm talking mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I built legs and I shrunk my waist. So no more flamingo here. And I didn't even realize how strong I got until just a few months back before this whole pandemic. Actually, the Adelaide Club was giving 5 cents. I don't know if some of you might have been there for this, giving 5 cents for every squat and every push-up. And the money was going to mental health awareness. So you can see I had a little bit of a passion for that. I had a little bit of time in my day, and I went over and I did some squats and push-ups. I found out that day that the record for squats was 350. I broke the record. I did 1,000. And they were perfect squats, all in a row. The record was for push-up was 60 that day. I did 111. I could have done more, but I just love that number 111. So I stopped there. So I didn't realize how strong I got until I was sort of doing that. It was a good thing. So as I turned 45 this August, I am actually feeling way stronger today in my 40s than I ever did in my 30s or my 20s. And I can tell you right now, with everything that I know about the human body and the human mind, I am only going to get better. As a wellness coach and trainer, I've helped thousands of people online and in person to achieve their health and fitness goals and to just feel good in their bodies. I know you all want to feel good in your body. As a society, we hear a lot about how we should eat right and work out more. But I find that so often we put way too much pressure on, eating right and doing the workout when we should be doing the work in. Because it is what you put in your mind, your thoughts. Your thoughts can affect your future experiences. Your thoughts can make you sick. Your thoughts can make you well. So as we continue, and before we continue, I have a question for you. If you bring out your pen and paper right now, this would be the best time for you to answer this question. And my question to you is, what is a challenge you're experiencing in life right now that you would like to overcome? And it doesn't matter if it's an old challenge you've had for a while or something new that just popped up. It doesn't matter, but this challenge, is something that kind of causes you some stress in your life. When you think about it, when you have to tend to it, it's not exactly easy. It's kind of stressful and you don't like it, right? I want you to be specific. If it's something about your body, what is it? Is it a health issue? Is it weight loss? Is it about a relationship? Who is it? Why? Is it maybe just about life? You just want to replace your limiting beliefs and you want to have a better belief about life and people. Doesn't matter, but just be a little specific, okay? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write your answer on that piece of paper. Okay, 10 more seconds. It could even be an ability, like you want to be an accountant and you just don't feel like you're good enough in math or something, anything. All right, time's up. I'm going to assume you guys are all good. Someone give me a Y or a hands up to say good to go. Perfect. Thank you, Trace. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Lena, Carol, all of it, Giovanna. Perfect. Thank you for that. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this number scale right here to the right. And I want you to rate how that challenge usually makes you feel. Just on a regular basis when you think about it, or when you have to tend to it, or even when you were writing it down, just in general. What is the first number that comes to mind when you think about it? Don't take too long, because the first number is usually the accurate number. So write that number down, how it usually makes you feel. Okay, good, so, low enough, All right, before we continue, I wanted to say that please hold your questions till the very end, and I'll answer all your questions. I'll even stay as long as you want and make sure I cover all your questions, okay? So just hold the questions. Is that fair? All right, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna assume that's a yes. All right. Everything in life is a vibration. Albert Einstein, I know you guys all heard of Albert Einstein, the most celebrated scientist and genius. And he says that if you gotta match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Nikola Tesla, famous inventor of the 20th century, he invented the radio, the remote control, the lamp. And he says that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, you got to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. What does all this mean? Frequency, energy, vibration. It just means that you need to remember that you are a vibrational being. You see, you have a physical body you can see, but you also have an energy body, but you can't see it. We call it aura. Now, everything in our world exists, everything that exists in our world, whether it's a person or an object, all of it is made up of energy. Therefore, it has an electromagnetic field around it. This is science. Now, we live in a vibrational world that makes you a vibrational being, right? So everything you think, feel, say, do, all of it offers some form of frequency, a vibration. Even the words you use have energy, and that energy offers a frequency, right? That's why sometimes you can feel things, right? Even if someone's not saying anything, right? Everything is vibration before it is a manifestation. That means everything has to be energy before it can become matter. That's science. Wave before particle. And so if everything has to be vibration before it can then even be interpreted by you through your physical senses, where you can see it, taste it, touch it, feel it, hear it, smell it. All of it is just you realizing that vibration through your physical apparatus, right? But the thing is, you've gotten so good at it. You've gotten so used to it. You don't even know you're doing it anymore. But everything you know is your reality. Everyone and everything around you is just you interpreting that vibration. And we don't interpret vibration exactly the same way. This is why you and I could be looking at the same scenario and have two different, slightly different interpretations of it. We don't want the same house, the same relationship. We don't choose to dress the same way because we do not interpret vibration exactly the same. So if science has been telling us for centuries now that energy creates matter, then wouldn't it make sense to tend to your energy first? So you can easily create your ideal physical experience. See, you're turning thoughts into things every single day. Thoughts into things, right? Energy into matter. Wave into particle. Have you ever thought about how you do that? You know, human beings are the only creatures on the planet that can think a thought and make themselves angry. Think a thought and make themselves worry. Think a thought and make themselves happy. That's so powerful. You're so powerful because it is your thoughts. Your thoughts is what produces emotions, and that emotion offers a frequency, and the frequency is your energy, and that energy determines your attitude and your mood, and your attitude and your mood dictates the quality of your experiences. So, to elaborate on this just a little bit more, may I introduce you to a renowned brain expert to share a few words? Give me a Y if that's a yes. Or a hands up. Thanks, Tracy. Oh, thank you, Craig. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's one of my mentors. He's a teacher, an expert in quantum physics and neuroscience. How many of you have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? Just give me a hands up or Y or something. Charlene Schaefer, awesome. Hi, Charlene. I miss you. Okay, yes, good. And he's one of my mentors. Now, this guy's fascinating. In 1985, he got into a major accident in a triathlon. He was riding the bike at the end of the triathlon, and he got ran over by a truck and became paralyzed. And the doctors told him, you know, that he's going to be paralyzed for life. There's no surgery that could help. And he refused to believe that because he knew the power of the mind. He knew if you know how to focus, you can shift and you can heal yourself. And so he did. He proved. And he did it in 6 weeks. Started walking again, went back to work, and everybody was amazed. And he promised that he would, at that point, commit his life to showing other people how he did what he did. And so since then, that was in 85, for over 30 years now, he's been running workshops and seminars all over the world. If you Google him, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And helped so many people heal themselves. Stage 4 cancer, healed in a few days, all by the understanding and the formula of the mind. People who couldn't walk, walked again. Blind from birth, can see again. Can see, not again, but for the first time. So it's amazing and fascinating when you understand how the mind works. And he really is the leading authority of the brain, mind, and consciousness. So here's Mr. Dispenza to share a few words. Please enjoy. I'm going to try and make sure that I can turn him on here because for some reason the screen is a little stuck. So just give me a second here.
I want you to turn to the person next to you. I want you to look them in the eye, and I want you to introduce yourself as a genius. Let's begin. And you and I have all the biological and neurological machinery to do this. And this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. This is a time in history to know how. And I can tell you from my last 5 years of traveling around the world, the common people that look just like you are doing the uncommon. They're healing themselves of very serious health conditions. They're creating better opportunities and better lives for themselves, new careers. They're healing old scars and wounds that kept them connected to the past. And they're having mystical experiences that transcend language. Take them years to be able to understand and explain. And they look just like you. And if you believe that on some level that your thoughts have something to do with your body or your life, and you're thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same redundant thoughts as the day before, it's going to produce the same measurable effects in your body, yes or no? And you are going to begin to emit the same energy and information in your field. And you are going to keep creating the same life. So then the same thoughts always lead to the same choices. Same choices always lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the same experiences. And the same experiences produce the same feelings and the same emotions. And those very same emotions drive your very same thoughts. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your hormones, and even your genetic expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. That's it. So if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, you would have to change your personality, yes or no? That means then you would have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it, yes? You would have to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors and modify them, true? Even what you say and how you talk. And you would have to look at those emotions that keep you connected to your past, because emotions are the end product of past experiences. And you would have to decide, do these emotions belong in my future? That means if you want to be wealthy, you can't take lack or unworthiness. Wealthy person would never feel that way. So most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You're literally going to have to become someone else. So the principle in neuroscience says that nerve cells that fire together. So if you keep thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, demonstrating the same behaviors, create the same experiences that stamp the same networks of neurons into the same patterns, all for the familiar feeling called you, then wouldn't you agree then, if you've done that over and over again, firing and wiring, emotionally conditioning and signaling the body in the same way into the past? If you did that, I don't know, let's be conservative, 25 years, would you agree then you would begin to hardwire your brain into a very finite signature? Yes? And that finite signature is called your identity. And it's a fact that by the time we're 35 years old, we become memorized to a set of automatic programs, behaviors, beliefs, perceptions, emotional reactions that function subconsciously. So then the first process of change then would become conscious of your unconscious thoughts, yes or no?
All right. And that was Dr. Dispenza, one of my mentors. This is Dr. David R. Hawkins. Now, he is a renowned psychiatrist, physician, spiritual teacher, and he says that until one acknowledges the genius within oneself, one will have great difficulty recognizing it in others. But see, these masters, they know, they understand the power of the mind. So they call us geniuses because we are, and because they already recognize the genius within themselves. So you have to recognize the genius within you, because they're just like us. So Dr. Hawkins is very special to me because he introduced us to an incredible tool called the Emotional Vibrational Scale, otherwise also known as the scale of consciousness. Now this scale reveals how every emotion offers a frequency and therefore has been assigned a numerical value. So everything that exists in our world, energetically or physically, whether it's a person, an object, an idea, or a belief, all of it vibrates somewhere along the scale. How high something is on the scale depends on how far it has come in the evolution of humanity, whether it's achieved some form of enlightenment up here, or stuck down here somewhere in a fearful survival mode, or whether anywhere in between. Now, here are some interesting examples of this scale of consciousness. Many religions started out at 1,000, the highest possible level of enlightenment. But today, a lot of them have dropped to anywhere between 100 to 900 as a result of misinterpretation. And if you guys have heard of Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, I'm sure you've heard of at least one of these three people, if not all three. Guess where they vibrate on the scale of consciousness? 700. That is rare for a human being to be vibrating that high. But when you do get there, you're positively influential. Beatles. The music by the Beatles, guess where they vibrate? That music vibrates at a frequency of 520, level of love. U.S. Marine Corps, 175, level of pride. The racial supremacy groups, 150, level of anger. But here's the most staggering revelation of all. As a result of negative programming and energy blockages, 85% of the human population falls below 200. That's where I was, fluctuating between shame and pride, and I didn't even know it. So it is throughout your life that you attract. In each moment, you attract people, ideas, objects, situations that are vibrating at a similar vicinity of frequency with you. So if your vibration is stuck at 200, it's a lot harder for you to attract the things you want. It just takes a lot longer. Whereas if you can raise your frequency up to 3 or 4 or 500 now, every area of your life can easily and drastically improve. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. What does this mean? It means there's no reality outside the one you perceive, the one you actually believe. See, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's really happening right now and what you're really imagining right now. It knows no difference because if you're having a thought, right, your thought is what activates the circuit in your brain. And the circuit in your brain is what triggers the chemical reaction in your body to produce the emotion that you then feel. So if you have a thought, it's already real because it's happening. That's why some people, they thrive at the worst of times. And some people, they suffer at the best of times. What does this say? It means you really get to choose your thinking. You get to choose how you want to perceive the events so that they serve you. Because events themselves are actually neutral until you put a meaning to them. So it's not about what's happening. It's about what you think is happening. It's not about what someone said. It's about what you think they're saying. So if someone said no to you, do you see no as, oh no, I'm just not good enough, I'm going to just quit, I'm just going to feel sorry for myself? Or do you see no as an acronym for next opportunity? And then you start moving towards that next opportunity. You start thinking different. You start asking different questions. You're going to get a pretty different outcome. Yes or no? Right? And so energy grows where attention goes. So let's say you have some insecure thoughts happening in your mind. That insecure thought's going to perpetuate some, well, it's going to produce some insecure emotions. Then the insecure emotion is going to perpetuate more insecure thoughts, and then the insecure thoughts will trigger more insecure emotions, and then it repeats itself. Energy grows where attention goes. So you see, you can really grow some momentum over something small, but does it really have to grow? No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because you don't have to make anything worse or make it bigger, because you can break patterns. You can break patterns and habits. Now, how do you do that? See, in stage 2 of Master Your Mind and Emotions, you learn a lot of strategies on how to replace limiting thoughts and breaking patterns. Today, I'm going to show you one quick strategy, and that is to train your pivot muscle. Right? Your pivot muscle is that muscle, the ability in your mind to be able to change from one thought to another without losing focus. And you can exercise this muscle. Just like any muscle in your body, it gets stronger and more powerful the more you use it deliberately. So what is this muscle really like? I'm going to play a little game right now so you can witness your pivot muscle in action. All right, it will take less than 2 minutes. We're going to play this little game. So no cheating. All you have to do is close your eyes. So I want you to take a moment and just close your eyes. And when you have your eyes closed, I'm going to assume everybody's got their eyes closed. I want you to imagine, with your eyes closed, an elephant. Think of a huge elephant, and I want you to make this elephant pink. A big pink elephant, and let's call him Mr. Pinky. Now I want you to think about the last thing you ate. I want you to recall the last thing you put in your mouth today. Maybe it was a snack, maybe it was a beverage, but I want you to remember exactly the last thing you ate. And when you can remember what it is, then you can open your eyes. Okay, I'm going to say that people have their eyes open. Give me a yes, someone, so I know that I think I'm ready to keep it going then. Oh, thank you, Tracy and Charlene. Perfect. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Lena. Perfect. You guys, are eyes are open. I love it. So I'm going to ask you a question. What happened to Mr. Pinky when you were thinking about your food? If you were like most people, Mr. Pinky probably went to the background or disappeared altogether, right? That was your pivot muscle in action. And that pivot muscle can be used by you. It's like in each moment you have a choice to be deliberate how you use it. You weren't deliberate, so I influenced you, how I wanted you to use it, how I wanted you to pivot. But you can have a choice to deliberately pivot anytime you want. You're always only one choice away from a completely different reality. And that is your superpower. You're going to use that superpower today. So, what if though? What if you had a challenge or a thought or a problem that you've been invested in for so long? And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's a thing you've been thinking about or feeling about. You've been in the situation long enough. It's become a habit, a momentum that it's hard to pivot, right? It's hard to pivot on those things. You try not to think about it, boom, comes right back, right? You try so hard and then boom, comes right back. Harder to pivot on things that you're invested in for a while. So can you still pivot? Absolutely. Absolutely. Except you just have to know one thing. It'll have to happen gradually. It can't happen right away. So you can actually forgive yourself, let yourself off the hook and put no pressure on yourself. Just know that you can do it gradually. But here's the thing. We were not taught from a young age. Most of us were not taught from a young age that it's okay to feel all of those emotions. None of them are wrong. They all serve a purpose. Instead, we're sort of led to believe that you're wrong to feel bad, right? So we grow up judging ourselves. Judge ourselves as wrong when we feel bad. We think we're not good enough when we feel bad. And so we beat ourselves out like, it's that self-judgment, the self-condemnation of not feeling good because you're feeling bad and thinking you're not good enough. That has become the problem. That is the reason we remain stuck. We keep ourselves in the lower frequency by those thoughts of ourselves. But if we were taught from a young age, right off the bat, the purpose of our emotions, and none of them are wrong, and you're supposed to feel all of them. It's natural for the human body to have all these thoughts spewing out of the brain and all these emotions coming out of the body. And it's okay for you to feel all them, and you should, because you have lots of time to change your mind. What do I mean by this? A thought reaches a combustion point at 17 seconds of pure, undiluted focus. This means if you can have a thought purely, without diluting it with another thought, without contradicting it with a different thought, in 17 seconds, there will be enough power in that thought to start growing. If you can hold it for another 17 seconds, total 34 seconds, there would be enough attraction power to start growing exponentially. And if you can hold it for another 17 seconds, focus so purely to it for another 17, total of 68. Pure thoughts here, right? There would be enough momentum to start manifesting into some form of reality. Most people have never had that experience of a pure, undiluted 17, 68-second thought. But this can go either way towards something you want, manifesting something you want or unwanted. So it's good to know that your emotions, you don't want to resist the emotion. You want to allow, right? When you allow without judgment, you let it be. You don't add any more negativity to the feeling. It subsides real quick, really quickly. What you resist persists. So you really don't want to resist. So you want to cut yourself some slack. Let yourself off the hook. It's natural to feel. You better let yourself feel everything. You have time to change your mind. No big deal. What do I mean by that? Combustion of point, if it happens in 17 seconds, it means you have 16-second leeway, even up to 68 seconds if you're deliberate, to allow yourself to do the humaning thing. The humaning thing. So if you feel like screaming or yelling or swearing or throwing something, you go ahead. You go ahead. None of those things are wrong. You doing those things is not wrong if you're deliberate, if you're strategic. You strategically, because you know when you allow, there's no resistance. You're allowing it to allow it to pass, and it will pass, right? 16 seconds is a long time to be deliberate, to be feeling something completely without fighting it. So 68 seconds is even longer. You won't even have to hit 68 if you allow yourself that 16 seconds of non-judgment, no condemnation. You allow it, right? Completely allowing without fight, it subsides. Resist, it will persist. So we were never taught that. Most of us were not. I know I certainly wasn't. So we were not taught that it is not wise to fight against the nature of things. Right? It is in the nature of the sun to shine so bright that it can burn just to sustain life. It's not wrong. It just is. Gravity, I don't care. It doesn't care if you're nice and kind and smart. If you jump, you're going to fall. Gravity is doing gravity. It's not wrong. It just is. And so it's in the nature of a human body to have a brain that likes to think and emotions, a chemical reaction that creates emotions, lots of different emotions. It's not wrong. It just is. But you have a job. And your job is to be the higher awareness of what's going on, the higher awareness, being aware that you're the driver. You are the actual driver of this vehicle. You're driving your own thoughts and emotions. You got to be the driver of this body. And most of us were not taught to drive our body, to be the driver of the emotion and the thoughts. So over time, we just get driven around. We just let our mind and thoughts and emotions kind of take over. And sometimes it can drive us all over the place, drive us nuts, right? So you got to remember that you are the driver. That's what you're going to do. And as a driver, you take control, right? You know you're in control. You got the wheel, so you're in control. And then you know that emotion is actually your solution. See, your body is a vehicle. This vehicle comes with special features, and the special features are called emotions. And the emotion acts like a GPS. You know the GPS you have on your phone, like Google Maps or Waze, so it tells you where you are right now, so you know where you can go, right? So that's what your emotions do for you. So let's say you want to feel good, right? You just can't feel good right now, but you really do. You feel angry at yourself for not feeling good, that you can't do better. You start beating yourself up. Maybe you're feeling bad about something else, but you're stressing out and you want to feel better, but you don't know how and you can't. And then I know you guys know it. I know you know what I'm talking about. We've all been there, right? You have no access to feeling good. Then your friends or family, or they try to cheer you up. They say, come on, think positive. Last thing you want to hear, right? Think positive, come on, let it go, cheer up. You're like, there's just no way. And here's the thing, you're absolutely right. There's just no way you can just switch gears. You couldn't just be feeling, let's say you're down here at 100, right? Feeling sad or angry or stressed or depressed or something. You're down here at 100. You can't just try and leap up to 300 or 400. That's a huge vibrational contrast. If you try to leap frequencies that you are not in the vicinity of, you can get thrown off. And so you don't want to leap. You want to love and forgive yourself and let yourself feel and understand that you can't feel good right now, but you can always feel better. And that's what you're going for. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Let's say you're my friend and you're feeling depressed, down here at 100 or 50, depressed, you do nothing, you just sit around and just mope, right? If I was your friend, I would say, hey, you have every right to feel depressed right now. In fact, you're in a perfect position to feel better. Then I'm going to talk you into your anger. I'm going to find something for you to be angry about. And there's always something to be angry about. Because it's so much easier for you to go from depression, which is at 50 or 100, and move up to anger, which is 150. It's a closer vicinity. You will get there no problem. And then I'm going to talk you into blaming something or someone, because blame is at 175, and it's pretty easy to blame someone right now. You know, boom, 175 you go. When you're 175, you're closer to 200. That's courage. You're going to find that courage. I'd rather you there than down at 50 where you do nothing. Nothing. I'd rather move you up to 200, even though you're not at 3. Doesn't matter. You're feeling better. You're raising your frequency. If you want deliberately to move your frequency up, you will. The 300 will suck you in, right? It's where are your intentions? What's your deliberate? Where do you want to go? Next to 3. Then you're at 4. It's easier to climb when you forgive yourself and let yourself feel. And so you don't want to slam on the brakes of your car, your vehicle, right? You want to pump that brake. That means you want to be kind to yourself, because that's the only way you're going to raise your frequency. And so we're all going to dip high, low frequency, depending on how life touched us in each moment. And that's okay. When you understand your emotion in this way and you become deliberate about how you use it, you go to those emotions, not because you're going to stay there. You go there because you know in going there, you can pass it, right? You go there, you don't judge it, you allow it. You don't condemn it. You train that pivot muscle and you let yourself off the hook and you forgive yourself. That is your leverage. That is the only way you can raise your frequency. So when you do that, you get good at it. You're going to dip less. And pretty soon, you dip so less, but then every now and then, life is just going to get you and you're going to dip again, and you will. But you get out of that dip so quick, so much quicker, right? Because you're well practiced. And then you realize it's not even about the dip. It's just about how you feel. It's about how you feel about the dip. And then life becomes fun. Your emotion is your best friend. So you don't want to beat up on it or ignore it, right? You don't want to beat up on yourself for feeling a certain way. It's your friend. It's like your gas gauge in the car, right? If it's running low, you know, it's telling you to go get some gas before you get stuck. You don't break your gas gauge and get angry with it. And it's like your phone. Your battery icon on the phone tells you you're running low. You just got to get charged. You just get charged. You don't throw your phone out the window. You don't swear at it. You don't get mad at your phone. So why should you get mad at yourself? Why should you get mad at your emotions, right? They're just acting as an indicator to serve you, to lovingly and guiding you to the next better emotion you have access to. And there's always an emotion you have access to that's higher than the one that you're in. And so now that you know this, how are you going to apply this to that limiting thought that you have, that challenge that you wrote down today that you want to overcome? How do you create less resistance around that challenge and raise the frequency? How do you improve the outcome? Well, first, you have to change your thinking about it. When you change your thinking, you change your energy. And when you change your energy, you change the outcome, period. But first, you have to shift perspective. And we're going to do that together right now. I want you to imagine your younger self, your inner child, an age you can remember. Maybe it's a picture. For me, I remember myself looking like this. I was age 6. I have a picture that reminded me of that little girl. So there's an inner child that we all have that lives within us, never leaves us. This inner child, that part of us that's most kind, most loving, most forgiving. We all have one of those. And you know, it is your job now. It is your job now to nurture this inner child, to give him or her whatever he or she wants because he or she deserves it. To give him or her everything they never got as a child. Maybe more love, more attention, better advice. So I want you to imagine your inner child, your younger self, comes up to you right now, looks up to you for advice. And you're going to give the best darn advice because this little inner child, this child of yours, is going to take that advice to heart. He's going to live it, breathe it, and become a greater person because of it. So, if that's the case, what would this advice sound like? I'm going to help you with this. Every challenge is an opportunity for you to become a greater person. It is a gift. So you have to start training your brain to know that it is a gift and that it is up to you to take advantage of this gift. So I'm going to introduce you to something I call evolving statements. I teach a lot of strategies in my stage 2, but this is just one of the strategies that I teach. Evolving statements. These are statements that help you evolve, to help you become more, to help you start appreciating. Now, appreciation is a very high frequency. So here are the sentences, the evolving statements I want you to write down. This is, you're going to tell your inner child. You're telling your child this advice. This is putting you on track to. This is making you better at. This is empowering you to. You're telling your inner child the best darn advice. So you're going to write down that advice right now, because that child is going to grow out to be a greater person because of you right now. So I want you to take 2 minutes and give your best darn advice, starting right now. You got 1 minute left. Okay, wrapping it up, you got about 15 seconds. And it's okay if you only got 2. 2 is good. 2 is great. If you have all 3, even better. All right, so time is up. Let me know if anyone needs more time. If not, I think we're good. Okay, we're good. Perfect. So you've written down your best advice for your child. I want you guys to now take a look at the sentences and replace you with me. Cancel out you, put me. This is putting me on track to. This is making me better at. This is empowering me to. And I want you to take a moment and read each sentence to yourself. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Just read it to yourself. All right. So now that you've read it to yourself, I want you to take a look at this number scale again one more time and tell me on the scale of 1 to 10, rate how that made you feel. The sentence, the advice, the better advice you gave your inner child. How does it make you feel? Just the feeling you get. First number is the most accurate number, so don't take too long. Okay, now you've got it written down. I want you to take a look. Take a look at the first number you wrote down today when we started the seminar. And I want you to compare it with the number you wrote down a few seconds ago. How many people shifted at least 1 rating up? So that means if you were a 4, now you're a 5. Give me a hands up or Y. At least 1 rating up, Greg. Chetan. Great, Carol Ann. So at least 1. How many of you shifted at least 2 ratings up? Give me a hands up or yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. How many shifted 3 ratings or higher? Beautiful. Wow. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. 4. Oh, wow. Oh, Sherry went to 10. John Lee, you went 4 up. That's a lot. That's great. I mean, if you went 0.5, it was good. So anything more than 0.5 is great. Good job, everyone. Good job. So what does this actually mean? Well, what it means is that, let's say you were a 3, feeling, low enough, and you went to a 5, good enough. That means you went from predominantly feeling a little bit of pride or anger around the situation most days to now sort of feeling more acceptance and willingness around it. Okay, what does that mean? That means things can start to change a little bit for you. What is that? Why? Why would that be the case? Well, this emotional scale rating coincides with the vibrational scale. So if you were down here at 3, anger or pride, predominantly right here around 150, 125, you're barely getting by about the situation energetically. Boom, you're now at 5, which is acceptance and willingness. So you're at 300 zone, you're past the getting by, you're near the flow, you're going to start to flow if you want to go. And that's how energy works. You just got to lift. That is great. And here's the thing about this. This is just a small exercise. It's a tiny exercise that you didn't even have a chance to practice yet. You just raised your frequency in some way about it just by thought alone. So imagine that you actually applied this in some small way each day moving forward. You change your thinking around the situation, this whole thing, this challenge that you wrote down. You train that pivot muscle to come back to this advice that you gave your child. This is putting you on track to, this is putting me on track to, making me better at, empowering me to. Imagine what a person who feels empowered and better at, on track to, would a person like that wake up tomorrow morning and start checking the texts and emails and start worrying and stressing, going back to the old way? Or would this person actually say, I'm more important, let me take care of myself first, that can wait? Would this person with the I am better at it, I'm on track to, would this person at some point of the day start complaining or gossiping about this challenge or something else? No. A person giving this advice would never want to waste time on limiting thoughts from the past because they know there's no power there. Because they know, because you know. You cannot see the way out of a challenge if you are looking at it every day from the same level of mind, emotions, thoughts, and feelings of the past. Because emotion is an end product of an experience. So if you're having an emotion because of an experience that happened yesterday or last week or last decade, that emotion doesn't even belong today. It belongs somewhere else in the past. That means you're living in the past. You lose your free will to create something new. And that past cannot create the future. It only creates the same, different places, different faces, but the same sort of feeling, right? So if you start living here in the present right now, you change how you think right now about this challenge. You wrote it down already. Little by little, this new thinking around this will slowly shift your state. Your state is your emotion. That emotion is the energy. You're going to change your frequency, and that energy is going to inspire new action from you, new way of thinking, new way of acting, new way of making choices. And then that will just lead to new opportunities. That's just going to lead to things, better things coming your way because you're inviting it by your new energy. And so imagine if you practice this new way of thinking for the next few days or up to a week. Just up to a week. What do you think is going to happen? I'm going to challenge you for the next 7 days that you're going to act like this person who gave the advice to your child, right? I'm better at, I'm on track too. You're going to set a good example to your child how it should be done. How many of you are actually going to take me up on this challenge? Put up your hands. Give me a hands up, a yes, a Carol, a sure. I'm going to hold you to this. Greg, 7-day challenge, guys. Awesome. I love it. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I see you in your chat. So, well, research has shown that just by writing it down, it's already changing your brain. That's great, right? It's already increasing the likelihood of you following through by 50%. But what about the other 50%? Well, you have to apply it. That means you have to act on it in some small way each day, just some small way. Put it into motion. And how do you do that? Well, Out of sight, out of mind. So you know that. Make sure it's not out of sight. You got to put it where you can see it. I put it in Post-it notes, right? I start to evolve because I put things in Post-it notes. I put them where I see it every day. I put it on my cupboard where I go to get my mug to make my tea first thing in the morning. I cannot miss it. I have no choice but to review it and be this new person. I can't help it. I put it in my day timer so I can move it around every day. I look at my day timer first thing. I see my schedule, and I can't help but set my tone for the day, right? So you got to put it in your car, your nightstand, or your book that you read every day, somewhere where you're not going to miss it. But here's the thing. Having that intention of reading it and reviewing it and being it, intention alone is not enough. Great that you read it, great that you want it, but it's not enough. You got to be intention and action. That means you got to put it into some form of action in some way. You wake up being a different person because of it. Would a person like this act like that? No, then you change it, right? Something's got to happen that's a little bit different from who you are today. Something small. Okay, and here's more examples of all my Post-it notes and notes that I collected all over the years. It's become a book. It is a book, actually. All the inner work I did is so different today. You should see my first Post-it note I wrote to myself. Penny, just breathe. Remember, you're worthy. You're worth it. Just like little things that could help me feel better. And then now it's so much more, right? Because I have changed, constantly changing. I've evolved and become so much more. So in stage 2, I teach a powerful tool called the focus wheel. People love this wheel because it helps you upgrade your mindset, right? It helps you to pivot your thinking quicker, shift your focus, replace those limiting thoughts, raise your frequency within seconds. You don't waste any time. This is probably like my 9th focus wheel because as mindset is upgrading, you got to keep upgrading all your wheels. You got to upgrade your Post-it notes because you're changing, right? It's not going to look the same. And it's not going to look the same 7 days from now if you're playing that game, right? And so here's some examples of different topics. You can use the focus wheel to make one for any topic, for life, for a relationship, right? It really helps you to become a good focuser, improves your mood quicker, that's where you can attract more of the things you want without wasting a whole lot of time and energy, right? Who has that to waste, right? So that's stage 2 thing. Now, Albert Einstein's back, my favorite guy. If he was alive, we'd be friends. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. Even our modern day thought leaders will say, a shift in energy is always followed by a change in reality. You see, during my inner work to heal, I had to do a lot of shifting my perspective about things, I had to train my pivot muscle over and over. And with all of that shifting and pivoting, I slowly realized that those who caused harm had their own challenges. Whether it's alcohol-related, relationship problems they have at home, insecurities that they have, or they don't feel loved growing up, whatever it was, they had their own inner pain. And the silent suffering within can cloud their better judgment and cause them to act from a place of lack and desperation. And so they may end up hurting others to release a bit of their own pain. Because hurt people hurt people. And so I had to ask myself if I was ready to see it this way. Penny, are you willing to think of it this way? Are you ready to let go and forgive? Well, I did. In time, I chose to forgive all of those who caused me harm. And then I started to heal. My inner child started to heal. Things started to change around me. I was starting to change. And I didn't really know why. I didn't really know how things are changing. But I do now. See, when I chose to forgive, the forgiveness is a frequency right next to love. Up here at 500, I didn't know that, but I raised my own frequency when I chose to forgive, and I let go blame and shame and resentment and fear and anger down here in the suffering zone, and somehow went shooting by, getting by, went right into flow zone, and things started to flow in their own way for me, slowly by little. And then I realized that forgiveness is a gift. Forgiveness. It's a gift you give yourself. So we change your thoughts, you change your world. And it really has been an honor for me to, it's been an honor and a pleasure for me to serve you today. And I do want to open the floor for you now to ask questions and so I can answer them. But before I even go there, I do want you to know that I have my contact info at the bottom for some of you who, let's say, don't want to ask certain questions right now. But you can contact me privately as well if you have any other questions other than this at penny@pennyphang.com. Phang for Pong, and my phone number, because I always am reachable by text message or phone calls with my clients. So I'm going to make myself accessible to you that way as well. So feel free to take that info down and reach me when you can. And then for now, I'd like to just open the floor. Oh, and next Wednesday, June 10th, by the way, guys, Wednesday, June 10th, I will be holding another seminar with Adelaide Club. They'll be hosting it. And this one is called Secret Strategies to Losing Belly Fat and Stubborn Pounds. You're going to learn how to have a healthy, happy relationship with your body. 60-minute webinar. So write that down on your date book, June 10th, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Hopefully you guys register and I see you guys there too. So that's what I want to share with you. So now I want you guys to give me your questions and your takeaways and your aha moments, anything. Let me see what you got here. Tracy, this is fantastic. Thank you. So thank you. I have to leave the meeting to attend another. Oh, no problem. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Penny, I have to jump off for another meeting, but I rather want to thank you so much for sharing your story and all the information you shared. It really moved me. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's common to move between anger and love on the scale. Is it common to move between anger and love? So you mean jumping from anger to love? I might, you know what, I'm going to actually open up and make sure that you guys can actually talk, because at this point, because there's not a lot of us and I'm at the end, I'm going to see if I can take you guys all off mute so you can talk. Okay, maybe I can't. Can I? Maybe I can't. Okay, never mind. Thank you for sharing. So you're awesome. Oh, thank you, Sean, Jean Lee. Okay, so I'm gonna clarify the question that was given here. Thank you so much, guys. Sherry, it is common to move. Oh yeah. So is it common to move from anger and love on a scale? Yes, back and forth. So you're talking back and forth within the same, within the same hour or the same minute, like in the same day, or just to be more specific, I can answer that. I get a lot of questions in that sound like that. So I just want to be very clear what you're asking so I can give you an accurate answer. Is it common to move between anger and love on the scale? Yes, back and forth. Could be the same day. Okay, well, yes, it is kind of common. You can move from anger to love. However, what is the underlying tone, right? So the underlying tone, sometimes we mistake anger, we mistake anger for love, because to feel anger is a certain frequency, but then you see, here's the thing, maybe it's not so powerful enough that when you leave that space, maybe it's something that makes you angry, but then if you leave that space and now you're like with your pet, okay, with your favorite person, and you're watching TV and then you're feeling love. So it's not unusual for you to jump from anger over here and then you're in a different energy, you're in a different space within that same day, but you're now with your pet and you're going for a walk and you feel so much love because this cute little dog is just licking your face. So of course you can feel anger and love, but of two different things. So this is a good thing. That means you want to spend more time with the people that lick your face so you can raise your frequency, like your dog. So you can feel good and you can be better at tending to the things that make you angry, right? Because it's almost like you compartmentalize two different things. That's why you can feel this and that. And it's good that you can actually shift. If you're anger and you can shift and actually feel happy, that means you didn't take that anger from that one place, that challenge or that person or whatever it is, and drag it into the other spot. That means that's a good thing that you're not mixing it. You know how some people take it out on other people or take it out on other things? That means they've brought that emotion, that frequency with them, and they're tending to things from that lower frequency because of something else. So it's a good thing that you didn't drag that frequency along. So you know how to compartmentalize, but you also need to know that that thing that's causing you that lower frequency, it's almost like a way of canceling out the good days, the good things. So you got the good and the bad, the good and the bad, the good. But you almost want to not really tend to, but find a better way of thinking, just using the exercise today, around that situation that makes you angry. right? Because if you can just tend to that a little bit, then when you come back to love, whether it's your pet or your kid or whatever, that sticks more. It makes you stay in a higher frequency a lot easier when you come back to tend to this thing. So it's almost like you want to, it's all about focus, right? Energy goes where attention goes. Energy flows where awareness goes. So you want to make sure you spend more time with the things that make you feel good, things that really, really kind of raise your frequency. You can feel it, you feel good. But you want to tend to those things and be with those things because you want to be better. You want to feel better because you want to be able to implement. You want to be able to now transition to that other phase in your life that makes you angry and have a little bit of good frequency seep into that. You know what I mean? So you want to be deliberate. You want to tend to this thing and not just kind of let it be, because this thing that's sort of being right now could take over time, right? That momentum I was talking about, slowly it starts to seep in and take over. So you want to integrate your good, milk the good, and tend to the not so good from that higher frequency place. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense or answers your question a little bit. Thanks for your session. It's been very useful. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing your experience. Of course, my pleasure, Greg. Thank you for sharing your experience. Very powerful. I have another commitment now, but I look forward to your next session. Of course. Oh, good, Sherry. So I did answer your question here. Thanks for sharing. Common sense share. Okay, good. So yeah, so we don't want to, that's almost like a sign that you can feel so good here and then not so good here. It's almost like a sign that you need to clean up the vibration of that other thing, right? Just because then overall your frequency can be a higher vibe overall, right? So it's a good, just a little bit of a wake up call a little bit, right? Could you share slides? Yeah, I think I could do that, of course. Yeah, thank you very much for this and sharing your story. Some parts have resonated with me, but I'm just at the beginning of a road to healing, so I look forward to future seminars. Thank you. Oh, of course, Alina. And you can reach out to me, Alina or Sherry, for me to give you more accurate or more answers that cater to you and what you need. So you could do that. The session's been settled. This is a session. Good. Okay. So are there any aha moments or anything that really gave you that, this really kind of gave you a little aha, for anybody? Or anything you found most useful or what you would have liked to hear more of? Okay. So I see here that we have, thank you so much. I don't see any more questions. Should I assume that everybody's good to go? Yeah, that's a really good question, Sherry. If you're still here, there you are. Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah, like that was a really good question, because you have to know that you can be angry at one, and sad and happy and loving all in one day, because those are human emotions. They're gonna come, they're gonna go, they're gonna leave, they're gonna just make sure that they're not so powerful that they're taking you over. That means like when you leave the situation, you find yourself still thinking about it, or you find yourself acting up in this situation right now. You can't concentrate with what's happening in front of you because you're still thinking about that, or you're still feeling about that you can't fully give your love and attention the way you want to in this situation for this person or this situation, right? So that's the only thing you want to make sure that it's not doing that. And if, as long as it's not doing that, then it's just probably not big enough for you to worry about too much. But it's always good to clean up vibration of anything that could be canceling out the good a little bit here and a little bit there. Not that it's wrong, but it's just overall so much better and more fun when you do clean it up a little bit, right? So a lot of great notes. Thank you. Thank you. When will you be presenting stage 2? Well, that's a little bit of a different seminar. That one, thank you for asking. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, so stage 2 is a little bit different. So I was just offering stage 1 because it was something that with the Adelaide Club and during this whole lockdown. So I offer stage 1. But stage 2, it's funny because stage 2 is something I offer like in person as a live seminar workshop. And it goes about 2 to 3 hours, depending on how many people and how many questions and whatever. So we allow at least 2 hours, and it can go up to 3 hours. So we just make sure people are sort of available if they want to ask more questions, and it can take longer. So with that said, usually it's an in-person web seminar workshop, and it is a $300 a person workshop. But since this pandemic and we're doing things from home, I've sort of changed things up a little bit, since it's, webinar style, that I have started doing it per person for $50 per person. So people come in and we just spend the entire 2-3 hours, so however long it takes, but minimum 2 hours. People can leave after 2 hours if they feel they got everything they need, they're good. You know, they can leave. But if they're like, well, no, I want to stick around. I got lots of questions. I want you to help me with my entire focus wheel. Or I want, you know what I mean? Because it's a workshop, so we get to do those things. And so you can leave in 2 hours, or you can stick around. And so that $50 is that next stage of learning the next level. Next level meaning whatever you learn today, it's going to be like more. So if you liked what you heard today, it resonates, it's like that stuff you believe, you just didn't know how to go about it. Well, stage 2 is just getting deeper into what you learned today and implementing that focus wheel and really setting the stage for a new way of you focusing your life, whether it's about your relationship, whether it's your finances, whether it's whatever, your limiting beliefs from childhood past you can't seem to get rid of. So it really is more honing into exactly what you need. So stage 2 is sort of, you know, working with that workshop wise. So it's a seminar workshop because you get a little bit of talk just like this. No, you're going to get lots of talking just like this, but you're also going to get a lot of work together, you know, time. Yeah, that's what stage 2 as well. So yeah, so it's something that I could put together for you guys if you're interested. We can do a private, just the same people that were here today, because I usually like to do that, people who are together, or sometimes not. You might jump into another team or another group, but usually, you know, we keep it kind of more private so we can really take our time with each other. And so that would I would love to put something on if that's the case. So what you can do is just reach out to me for those who are interested in stage 2. We can talk about how we can put something together perhaps, and then get back to you about that. Yeah, hope that answers your question too. Jean Lee, I want to say Jean Lee, but it could be Jean because it could be French, you know. Jean, I'm going to say Jean because Lee is Asian, but I could be wrong. But you know, I'm aware of you. I don't want to get your name wrong. Perfect. My mom's last name is Lee too. Oh, I'm right. So it's Jean Lee. Okay, there we go. My mom is Julie Lee. So it's perfect. Yeah, so let me know if you guys are interested. Reach out by text message or even email or just whatever you need. And then I can have an idea of how many people. I'll set it up just for you guys. Okay, stage 2. Okay, I guess that's it. I got Giovanna, Sherry, Carol, Ian, John, Jean. Do you guys have anything you want to share with me before I say goodbye today? Any other questions or any takeaways? No. Thank you, Carol. Thank you for your time and attention today. How about Sherry? I know Sherry already asked yours. I hope I answered it because it's a really good question. But just remember, you're supposed to feel all of the emotions. Just make sure they're not taking over a little bit into spaces you're going into, and yeah, not affecting you. You know, and not affecting in a negative way. All right, Carol, do you have anything, Carol? Have a great afternoon, Carol. And oh, looks like okay. Thank you, Carol. Ian, any questions, Ian? You're awesome too, Sherry. Thank you. No questions from no Ian. And Jean, you're good. Okay. Well, it looks like it is a wrap. It was so wonderful to have all of you. I want to thank you so much for all your time and your attention today. And I hope to see you guys for stage 2, or even to just catch up and see how you did for your 7-day challenge. All right, you guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay cool and hydrated. Bye, everyone.